Who drafts a closing statement? Would this be handled through an attorney, or do we need to hire a title agency?
Okay, great question. When you're selling a property, whether you're using a realtor or you're doing it on your own, you're going to want to have title insurance.
Yes.
Okay. Actually, you don't need the insurance itself. You need a title agent to pull title, which is the history of the ownership of the property and how any liens or defects in the title will be discovered through this title search. The seller has to have a title search because at the time that there's an offer that's accepted by the seller, most likely the buyer is going to go and get financing through a bank. And part of the process is to get title insurance. And the title search is the first step in the title insurance process. It shows it's marketable title. That has to be ordered usually up front. The title agent then also will use that information along with the purchase agreement and look at the numbers and calculate what it's called a closing statement. They're the ones who will go through and fill in all the information as to who gets paid out of the sales proceeds of a home, such as water bills, property taxes, loan payoffs, realtor commissions. There's so many different things that can, assessments. I mean, I can give a huge list. Loan points, fees, etc. Everything goes on a closing statement, and that closing statement is calculated by the title agent. So yes, it's the title agency in Michigan that 9 times out of 10 will prepare the closing statement. It's also called a settlement statement. Other states, depending on where you're at in Ohio, the attorneys will do it. Northeast Ohio, title agencies do it. Southern Ohio, attorneys do it. Okay. Attorneys will complete the closing statement 9 times out of 10 in most states. But in Michigan, it's the title agent. Now, attorneys review the closing statement. There's a difference. We take the closing statement and we actually match it up to the legal documents to make sure that whatever is, however the proceeds are being dispersed, it's in accordance with the terms and provisions of the agreement. So we're going to get to the word bill of sale, the term and phrase bill of sale. That's an instrument or a document that basically evidences the exchange of money for a non-real estate asset. It has to be accounted for. A lot of times title companies will not account for that. We make sure that's done. So the attorney will double check all the numbers and compare it to the terms and provision of the PA.
Okay. In regard to closing and the purchase agreement, typically as far as timeline goes,
right.
So when I buy as an investor, I buy unrepresented typically, and I don't have an agent out hunting for properties for me. So once I, as the buyer, put the purchase agreement, everything is negotiated, agreed upon, and then we both parties sign on the dotted line. That's when I order title. So I don't typically order title until the purchase agreement, the purchase has been agreed upon, the terms of purchase, and then it's signed, and then I will order the title either through, online, or I'll call the title company and speak with somebody. And then I also send in just a scanned document of the PDF. So that's typically when I do it. Is that what you would recommend? Is like immediately after that purchase agreement?
Well, you're buying. I mean, you're buying as an investor, so you're not going to want to look at title until you know that you have a transaction that's going to most likely be completed between the two parties.
Would the seller then want to pull title on their own property? Okay.
Yeah. So when you're doing, especially, first of all, real estate agents, as well as, just sellers who are working on their own, when they're contemplating selling a piece of property, they should definitely pull title. They're going to need it anyways, but you definitely should pull title to see if there's anything out there that could actually affect your transaction or delay it. So, people are surprised all the time. And by the way, those transactions where the title work is cloud, there's a cloud on title, which means there's a defect in the title. because there's some outstanding deed or some other party that shows up somehow that doesn't belong actually in the chain of title. Okay. When that, you've heard these terms, and most people who are watching have heard these terms, but when you have an issue that pops up, you want the time to be able to rectify and resolve the problem.
Right.
So if you put right now in the market, which is so hot, if you put a home up for sale right now and somebody comes rushing up and goes, I'll buy it, and you don't know what's on your title, and now all of a sudden you're delaying, there's a problem. All of a sudden the seller's market, that great advantage that you have, can be destroyed because you have some issue with your title work. And now the leverage is no longer with you as the seller, it's with the buyer, who's like demanding that this transaction close in a timely fashion and that you clear the title. So the seller should have that done up front. The one thing I'll tell you is title agents, and there are so many good ones. I have no problem mentioning a couple, and I will. Michigan Land Title is, pardon me, Michigan Real Estate Investors Title is very involved in this group, but I deal with title companies from other groups. But in this situation, they're highly competent in getting the title search, and they have underwriters that will go through and say, hey, this is a cloud on title, but here's the problem. You need an attorney to opine, that means give you a legal opinion on the impact of an item that shows up in title. The title company cannot do that for you. They can't give you legal advice. The underwriters can't do it. They can't say, well, this is how you get rid of it.
Right. They basically can just tell you what is, but the attorney can tell you what then to do.
Needs to be done.
With that.
Right. And that's a whole other, that's like a whole, a whole other series. We have tricks of the trade, how we get stuff done to clear title. The last resort is what we call a quiet title action, which a lot of real estate investors who are watching have heard. But believe it or not, we do so many things before that we can usually hopefully avoid the quiet title action. Now, title companies do have third-party service companies that will help try to clear the title, but when it comes to a legal issue, they can't. Only attorneys can.
Okay. No, that was a good question, good answer.